Hey, one more thing before you go. Do you believe in love? Do you believe in karma? Do you think that all's fair when it comes to love and karma? We're going to have an answer to all of these questions and many, many more when we have a conversation with an individual that works directly with angels, guides, and the departed souls to help you gain insight into your own life and understanding what the universe has in store for you. I'm your host, Michael Hurst. Welcome to One More Thing Before You Go. My guest in this episode is June Edwards. She's a gifted psychic who discovered her abilities at a young age. But here's the twist. She didn't realize she was a medium until later in life. Why? Because her journey is nothing short of extraordinary. June's psychic gifts weren't just a random occurrence. They were passed down from her mother, who was also a medium. The supernatural runs in her veins. At 27, June had a unique experience. She crossed over to the other side, and it was a choice. Imagine having the ability to transcend life and death by choice. June did just that and returned firsthand with knowledge that death after life, life after death, here we go, life after death does exist. Her mission, to share this profound knowledge with the world. What sets June apart is her exceptional success rate. She brings souls from the other side, offering closure and healing for both sides. Welcome to the show, June.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me.
What an amazing journey you have.
I like to say it's life after life exists.
Life after life, that works too.
Yeah.
It is, that in itself is an interesting concept. I believe in reincarnation. I believe there is life after death. I believe that our soul transcends and that we have to learn things in this life, and then we could take them with us in the next life. Not everyone kind of has that belief, but you actually experienced it, didn't you?
I did, absolutely. And as I tell people, their belief system is literally based on what they've learned or what they've experienced. And when you experience something differently, you have no choice but to believe, right?
Oh, exactly.
And when people start paying attention to the things that are happening around them, they will experience miracles. They'll see miracles. They just have to open their eyes and get out of their head, get out of their brain.
I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot. I think we as children, I found this through many conversations and personal experience. Children have open eyes and open hearts and open ears. So that imaginary friend that they used to play with, or the imaginary friend they talk with, or have tea with, or color with,
Most of the time, it's real.
is real. Exactly.
That's
Society. Unfortunately, society and cultural practices kind of shut that off at sometimes. But I like to start at the beginning. We got a whole bunch to talk about, but we'll start at the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Massachusetts, little town outside Boston. And when I was 10 years old, my dad kidnapped the youngest five of us, told us our mom was crazy, and moved us away. And I'm one of 8 children, very dysfunctional family. Had no idea that my mom was a medium and not crazy. And I reunited with her later in life.
Where'd you want to be when you grew up? I mean, did you go to college, go to university?
Not when I didn't have any opportunity when I was younger, to be honest. I did my college at night. Once I owned my first large daycare center, I had to get a teaching certificate. So I was raising my own 3 kids and doing my college on the computer at night. Um, Everything that I've done in my life was basically out of necessity. I ended up becoming a trained chef because I was at 10 years old. I ended up having to cook for the family, and I couldn't cook.
So yeah, that would tend to, I understand that. I come from a very dysfunctional family myself. I love to cook now. Back when I was a kid, it almost was a necessity, unfortunately. So you became a trained chef just experimenting, or
No, my dad actually sent the younger kids to camp, and I had to become an adult. And he started sending me to summer school first, learning how to cook. And then when I got into high school, I got into culinary arts and trained professionally for another 4 years after that.
wow.
So yeah, I've had catering companies. I used to be a professional cake decorator. I've owned all kinds of restaurants, you name it.
All that sort of stuff. Do you watch The Bear?
No.
Yeah, that yeah, that's something. Yeah, you should probably check out The Bear on. It's on FX and Hulu.
Okay, I
It
don't
might
have either.
bring it might
I don't watch a lot of TV, as you can
uh,
tell.
it might bring back some. You might bring back some memories.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, actually. I think that understanding we might have to have the next conversation here at the house so that you can demonstrate your culinary skills. See, just in case.
Well, it's like I'm a jack of all trades at this point. Again, everything was out of necessity in my life. When I was 15 or 16, my hairdresser trained me in hairdressing because she wanted me to buy her salon when I got a little bit older. I ended up opening my own large day
Whoa.
spa at one point in time. 5,000 square foot facility. I was a medical esthetician, class one cosmetologist in 2 states. And again, most of what I've done, I've been in business my whole life. So it ended up being out of necessity. I needed a
Right.
bus driver. I had to go get my bus driving certificate because bus driver doesn't show up. I've got to drive the bus. I had to teach the kindergarten class. The no kindergarten teacher. I got to teach the kindergarten class. I jump in and do whatever my calling is, basically. And
Well, if you do,
gratefully, this is my calling now, and I absolutely love what I do.
I think that has its advantages because it gives you an insight into no matter what the people that come to you for help, no matter what station in life they may happen to be, you can relate to where they have come from because
Exactly.
you walk that you
Exactly.
walk that path before they did, and you
And I
know
wrote my autobiography for that reason, because many people would come to me for help and be like, "You have no idea what I've been through. You can't even imagine." Blah 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 blah. Blah. I'm like, "Yeah, well, been there, honey."
read this
And if
book.
I can make it, you can make it.
Yeah, read this book. Here you go. Check this out.
Yeah,
Get back to me
exactly.
when you're done.
Yeah.
When did you first realize that you had psychic abilities?
I was probably about 3 years old, and I remember waking up in the morning hearing someone call my name. And I got out of bed and went to my parents' bedroom thinking it was them, and they were fast asleep. So I went back into my bed, and then I started realizing that there were faces in my room looking at me, and it scared the heck out of me. So I pulled the sheets up over my face, and then when the sun started to come up, I started seeing the shadow of a face, like in my face. It was very, very frightening as a child, very frightening. And as I'd get older, I just knew things were going to happen before they happened. And I would tell all the kids in school, and you quickly get named a freak. So I stopped doing that. And then when my parents split up, and I was 10 and making dinner and doing the dishes, there was a woman about the age of 45 that used to stand next to me, next to the sink, and talk to me at night when I did the dishes. And I was grateful for the company. So I had just assumed everybody saw her. So one night I asked my older brother who she was. And he started laughing and telling me that she was the woman that lived in the house and her husband murdered her and threw her down the basement stairs. And
Holy
it
smokes!
scared me so much that she must have felt it because she never came back.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's holy smokes! As a child, obviously we had a discussion prior to us starting the recording. The fact that we as children have that ability within ourselves. I think that we're born with it, and that it gives us the insight to what might be on the other side, or that veil. We can see through that veil, and so forth. And sometimes society or culture kind of shut that off for us.
Well, a
Um,
lot of it has to do with your brain because, we're here living a 3D existence. This is
yeah,
reality. You're playing a role here. And we all have a brain in our head, right? For the most part. And
yeah,
your brain has a very specific job. Your brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So people make all their decisions based on fear, which is literally
yeah.
a crapshoot. Half the time it works, half the time it doesn't, but you're always questioning yourself.
That's
My
funny.
my dad, when he was 93, was dying, and of course didn't believe in anything that I did. And I went to see him almost every day. And I went to see him one day, and he said, "Listen, I want to talk to you about what you do." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay. What do you want to know?" He goes, "I want to know. Every morning I wake up and I see my mother next to the bed." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's nice. It's about time. She's been here for about a year." He goes, "Well, why is she here?" I said, "Well, she's going to help you pass over to the other side when it's time for you to go." "Well, then how come she disappears right after I wake up in the morning?" I said, "She doesn't disappear, Dad. She's still standing here right now. I said, you don't see her because when you go to sleep at night, you go from the 3D into your dream state, which is 4D. And if you're not paying attention during the day, the only way they can visit you is in that dream state. And then when you wake up in the morning, your brain can't fathom the fact that you're looking at something you're not supposed to be seeing. And that's what's shutting it off from you seeing it anymore, is your brain. If you can get out of that, then you'd still be able to see her.
Yeah, it's interesting. You think we all, if I not know, but you know that all of us have that opportunity, that insight that we can open that door, so to speak, or open that window ourselves. Is that easy to learn? Is it easy to train ourselves to really, get past that blockage?
So it's kind of like playing a piano. Everybody has psychic ability. Everyone has mediumship ability. It's a matter of what you do with it. Some people sit down and all they can do is play chopsticks. Other people want to learn, so they'll teach themselves a couple of songs. Other people really want to apply themselves and they become concert pianists. And then you always have the 6-year-old prodigy that sits down and plays Mozart, and that's me.
What an analogy. I love the music analogy. My wife and I were talking about that last night. I love music and the creative arts and how it integrates within our life so much. We were watching the Grammys and it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Well, you brought that analogy to me this morning.
There you go.
Thank you. So it is, you as you grew and you started understanding your gift and those kind of gifts, how did you hone that gift? Before we got to the point, did you do anything, or did you go to any classes? Did you?
So I was scared to death of this. And like I said, I tried to block it as best as I could growing up. Although when someone died, if it was someone I knew or even an acquaintance of someone that I would know, the person that passed away would come to me immediately. And I would let the other person know, and they'd be like, oh, no way, I just saw him. And sure enough, they'd check it out, and that person had passed away. But I was afraid of my ability. So you are always in charge as far as the other side goes. And I wouldn't be able to do the work I'm doing right now if I had fear of my ability. So you would think that after I died at the age of 27 that I would be gung-ho, but that was not the case. It took me a long time to really process dying and coming back and being able to talk about it, because it was just such an emotional experience. And I still had a lot of things that I had to learn to do what I need to do. And there's a process. You can't push the process. So my abilities really opened up. After I passed away, I got interested, and I would go on haunted vacations, and I would see orbs and see energy, and get it in pictures and feel things. I was really interested, but I was still a little afraid. Um, and about 10 years ago, I was having difficulty in my business. I was not listening to my intuition, which is my soul, and I was making decisions in my business out of sheer desperation, which never works out. And I was going through a divorce at the time, and I went to a Reiki practitioner to have some energy work done and relax. And she recommended that I try to meditate. And I'm like, the same thing every single person says. I can't meditate. I have way too much going on in my head. I was running 5 businesses at the time, taking care of my mom. It was just crazy. And the first time that I meditated, it was like they kicked the door in from the other side and said, she's ready.
Just kind of opened it right up. Okay, can I touch back on something real quick? You said when you
Sure.
died, you were
Yeah.
27 when you had an incident that you died. Can we talk about that? And how did that happen?
Sure. So when I was 22, shortly after I got married, I injured my back, and I wasn't able to really get too much done with it because I had just found out I was also pregnant. So I couldn't do x-rays or things like that. So I spent the last 3 months of the pregnancy in bed. And once that was over, I went and had my back checked out, and I needed surgery. And I put it off as long as I could. I put it off for 5 years because I just knew if I had surgery, I was going to die. I just knew it. And of course, everybody's like, oh, you're just afraid. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I know it. It's my soul giving me a heads up. And the night before the surgery, I went in and had an MRI test done with a dye contrast. And I told them I thought I was allergic to it. I'd had it once before and had a really bad reaction. I couldn't get off the table for hours. And they're like, oh, that's normal. It happens to everybody. What do I know? I'm 27. I'm not the doctor, right? So as soon as they injected me, I died. And everybody's experience is a little bit different, and everybody's experience is a little bit the same. So I never called it an NDE, a near-death experience, because I knew I died. However, scientists still call it an NDE because they haven't been able to quantify it. So I did not see a light tunnel or anything. I immediately was whisked to heaven, which I now know as the fifth dimension, the lowest level of heaven. And I could see everything happening. I could see them, the crash cart coming in, the nurses in the hallway talking about it, the people in the room and back. I mean, I could see all this and hear all this, but I was not in my body. So I did not feel a thing.
Right.
And then I started watching a life review, which less than 10% of the people that have an NDE get to the level that I did and have a life review. And it was literally everything that was wonderful that had ever happened in my life. The people that cared about me, the times that brought me joy or happiness. And I used to say that the only two things that you take with you when you go is knowledge and love. But now that I do this work and I've brought many people through that are still in despair or anger, you take all of your feelings with you. Okay, so you take your feelings and your knowledge is what you take with you. And as I'm watching this movie, I'm hearing behind me that it's not really your time. You can stay if you want to, or you can go back. It's your choice. And for me, I was experiencing just an overwhelming feeling of love. It was just incredible. It was just the most love you could ever imagine. And without having a body, no pain, just weightless. When you're on the other side, your soul is way too big for this body. You have some of the souls in your body, some of it's above your body that people can see, and they call it an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in that lowest level of heaven, the fifth dimension. And it orchestrates the timing of all the events that happen in your life, but it also holds all the knowledge of all of your lifetime. So as I'm there, I'm accessing all this knowledge of all. It's just so overwhelming. And then I remembered my two children. I had another one when I came back. And the reason that I came back specifically, and only reason, was because of my children. I knew that was the biggest reason that I had decided to come into this lifetime to begin with, and that they brought me the most joy in my life. And as soon as I made that decision, I was back in my body immediately.
That's amazing, actually. So when you talk about all the knowledge in all of this, would you reference that as the Akashic records?
So no, that's a little bit different. I can read Akashic records, but I don't have all your knowledge. I can only read your book of records. It's the book of life, your life. Every religion talks about it, but I can only read your book with your permission. If I don't have your permission, I cannot read your book. But you can access your soul from the other side when you meditate and get in touch with your soul and get out of your head. Because you're meditating, you're connecting to not just the soul in your body, but the soul that's on the other side.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. I've had a lot of conversations on the show about our soul and where it's at. And I like your perspective on that. I've not heard that before up until now.
Well, I've gotten all my information from the other side.
Yeah.
I took a year and a half in training when my abilities opened up just to learn how to turn it on and turn it off and how to protect myself, basically. But the majority of my education has come from the other side. And when you think of quantum physics and the speed of light, it's more than 300 million miles a second. So when my soul left my body and went to heaven, I was traveling at that speed. And then it came back into my body. So my vibration is automatically much higher than most people. And I believe that's why I can connect to the other side so quickly and have the ability to go back and forth to the fifth dimension so quickly.
Which is a brilliant opportunity, I think, for you to be able to share with other people and to connect with other people from a different plane and bring positivity to people. I mean, my whole mantra is to inspire, motivate, and educate people. That's what my projection is every time I do one of these shows, is to inspire, motivate, and educate people. I think taking the knowledge that you received and what you bring you brought from there to here and you continue to use allows you to be able to connect people with. I'm sure that, I mean, the stuff that I have in your bio, it allows you to be able to connect people with the other side in order to get closure, because we all want closure and we all
Right.
want.
I'm basically a radio transmitter for them. You know, they can't see them or hear them. I can. And it also gives closure to the other side as
Yeah.
well. You know, if you died and there's something, I mean, if they died and there's just, you know, animosity between the two of you that neither one of you want, they're like banging on a two-way mirror saying, hey, I'm
Mm,
here. Can't you hear me? Can't you see me? They want to connect with you. They want to talk with you. They want you to hear them. It's
mm.
very, very frustrating for them on the other side.
Yeah, well, thanks for clarifying that you die too. If
Yeah.
um, it is, it's interesting in life and death. I mean, obviously, we're human beings, and we have a lifespan in this body.
The
And
body. Yeah.
I do believe that the soul lives on. I think that we're all one. We're all connected to source. We're
We all
all
have God's spark in us. That's why we have a soul. If
exactly.
you didn't have that God spark, you wouldn't have a soul.
Exactly. I think that
Robots
we're all.
don't have souls. AI won't have souls. They'll never have souls.
That's so true. Yeah, we should keep that in mind. Although, with all my operations, I'm about half cyborg, so I hope that still counts. Hopefully, I still kept the soul part. See, they just replaced the other parts and left that in there. It's interesting when you connect with. Let's see if I can formulate this question the right way. So, when somebody comes to you and they want to connect with the other side, or they want to connect with somebody from the other side, do you help them in particular to connect with them, or do you, as you just said, you kind of play the radio
So,
frequency, so to speak, and be the conduit for that?
so mediumship works different for everyone. And for me, um, for the most part, as soon as you call on someone, they show up 90% of the time. Sometimes they'll play little tricks and shove somebody else out there first or do something different. Excuse me, because they're always trying to teach me something from the other side.
Mm.
But for the most part, they either show up the way they looked in a past lifetime, in their past lifetime, the
Uh-huh.
way they looked prior to death, or the way they thought they looked the best in this lifetime. So,
Mm.
for instance, when my mom comes through, my mom died at the age of 93. Her best age that she had so much fun and she thought she looked the best was about 19. And that's the age that she comes through to me all the time, and usually with roller skates on, because back then she was a messenger girl in Chicago and she would roller skate from office to office to deliver the memos. So
Oh,
that's how she
that's
still
cool.
comes through to me when she comes through all the time. So some of them, when they come through, I can see them standing. Usually, some of them will come right up to me. Some of them will stand back, like in a hallway or a doorway, a
Uh,
little bit, and they want to feel the situation out before they come forward a little bit more. Um, some of them are very talkative, and they talk so fast. I just let them talk through me because I can't even repeat them fast enough. Others have nothing to say, and it's like a charades game. So I have been taught from the other side this huge long list of symbols that mean certain things, but I would
mm,
still have to ask some things. So, for instance, if I see a pocket protector in a man's pocket, I know he either literally was an engineer or he thought he was awkward and didn't fit in, kind of a geek, one of those two things. So I'd have to ask, was he an engineer? No. Okay, then he felt thought he was
the other
awkward.
way.
They might come through with, very polished shoes, and that either did he like really like to collect shoes, or just was the way he dressed very important to him.
Or a military
One,
guy.
it's always not usually. No, if they're military, they'll usually come through with a uniform for me. The
Really?
polished shoes is specifically, they either liked shoes and fashion, or how they appeared to other people and how they
Mm.
dressed was very important.
Yeah, very
So there's
cool.
all kinds of symbolism, but they might show me something like a white Cadillac, which means nothing to me. I would have to ask, did they drive one? Do you drive one? Did they sell them? Were they hit by one? I have no idea. And I don't know where they're going with the message until I understand the symbolism. And I will always give everything that I get. It doesn't always mean anything to me. And sometimes it doesn't mean anything to the person that's
Right.
asking because they may not, I mean, I didn't know my mom when she was 19. If I didn't know it was my mom, I wouldn't know it was her, right?
Yeah.
So all I can do is describe the person that's standing in front of me and, tell you what they're talking about and what they have to say. What can be difficult sometimes is that as much as you want to talk to them and you want to ask questions, they want
Yeah.
to talk to you more. You think it's your sitting, but it's not. It's their
It's
sitting.
there.
It's more important. As far as they're concerned, they're the ones that have the floor. They're going to talk about what's important to them. And a lot of times it's stuff like, the family cookbook or a family heirloom, or it's weird stuff sometimes to us, but it's important to them on the other
Important to
side.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important that they're not forgotten. It's important that their family heritage is passed down, and those things aren't forgotten. Those things seem to be very important to all of them on the other side when they pass, for the most part. Not 100%, but
Yeah.
the majority. Um, and then we can just have a conversation. They can ask questions. I can give answers.
Yeah, that which really works. It's interesting. You were talking about all that, and the people kind of standing in line. It reminded me of a movie with Ricky Gervais. I don't remember the name of the movie, but he died, and when he awakened, he was able to talk to the dead, and he couldn't figure out why he woke up in his bedroom. And there's like 50 people standing in his bedroom, and they're all
Well,
talking at
that
the same
happened to
time.
me, and I'm still alive. Used to
Yeah.
happen, doesn't happen anymore. I have been very well trained that I turn it on and I turn it
Turn it
off,
on, turn it
and
off. I was going to
I
ask
have a
you.
guardian. Yeah, I have a guardian on the other side who does not allow souls to come through to me unless I'm working, unless it's an emergency. And I've only had two souls that have come through to me at this point that were true emergencies that he let through. Um, so yeah, they
Yeah,
do
that's
their
pretty
job.
cool.
I do my job.
It works. The movie, he was running constantly. They were chasing him down the street. He'd come out of the building, and they all be chasing him and kind of things. He's going, "Leave me
So
alone, leave
yeah,
me
you have
alone."
to you have to put your boundaries up, and people that have a lot of ability sometimes just go crazy because they can't turn it off. They don't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. My abilities first opened up, I couldn't shut it off. I was waking up
Right.
with, all around my bed. I was a medical esthetician. My first client, I'm like, "Did your aunt just die?" She goes, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" I'm like, "I have no idea how I know that." I'm like, "Did you clean our house out this weekend?" She goes, "Yeah, we did." I said, "Oh, did you find one of those sock puppets that looks like a monkey from the 1950s?" She goes, "Yeah, we found one in the attic." I'm like, "Oh my God," I'm freaking out. I was freaking, it just got
Uh,
worse. Every single person. So you have to learn how to turn it on and how to turn it off, or you will. I mean, I still see them. I went
right.
grocery shopping one day, big joke, and there's a guy that I see near the front door, and I had to stop for a second and look, which was a mistake because I wasn't sure if he was real or if he was a spirit. It's a mistake because he knew that I saw him. And then I'm like, "I'm not working." And he got angry. He's like, "I know you can see me." And he picked up a pack of hot dog rolls and he threw them at me. And they went about 3 feet off the shelf. But the poor
Wow.
woman at the cash register saw this. And she just saw the hot dogs come flying off the shelf. And she's like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" I'm like, "Yep." And I laughed and kept walking.
Yeah, don't know what that was. Nope, nope, don't know. I'm out of here. That's pretty funny. The do you usually have people that come to you first? And I mean, I know there's different types of psychic mediums. There are ones that hear, only hear. There are ones that see, only see,
Right. The
and there are some that
clairvoyant,
see and
clairessence.
hear.
Yeah.
Apparently, you've got the ability to
I
both see
have
and
everything.
hear,
Yeah, I have everything.
which I
Yeah.
think is
I
very
smell it.
unique.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, yeah, very unique from that perspective. And I'm sure that's very satisfying to you too when you do give people closure because we all want closure. You
It
know,
is.
how
It
far
is.
back do you typically, and this might be a bizarre question, but how far back, like, let me pause for a second here so I can formulate this correctly. I believe in reincarnation. So I don't know the time sequence when somebody reincarnates. So let's say my father died 40 years ago. Would that individual still be able to reach back out, or have they already reincarnated and
So
come
for the
back into
most
this life?
part, time doesn't really exist. Okay, it's different everywhere. It's all happening at the same time. We've kind of created time here so that we
Hmm,
can control things that we really have no control over. Okay, this is
that
why
makes
we
sense.
have routine. So what I've been able to experience is that on the other side, it's about 3.5 to 4 years of our time for one of their years.
Mm.
Okay. So they average reincarnation is about 350 to 400 years of our time
Wow.
before they reincarnate. And they want to make sure that everybody from here is gone, the grandkids, the great grandkids, nobody's really remembering them. And then when they come back, when we come back here, what people
Mhm.
forget is we come back for multiple reasons. We come back here first as a little mini vacation, because when you're on the other side, you don't have a body. You have to only live vicariously
Right.
through the people that are alive. You can't, go fishing, actually. You can't taste your food. You can't you can't smell, you can't have sex, you can't do any of those things that you can do with a body. So we come here to have that fun as well, but we also come to collect karmic debts and pay the karmic debts that we owe as
Mm.
part of learning the lessons that our soul needs to learn to advance. And that's the
Makes
whole
sense.
purpose. And we're also here, excuse me, to help each other, to help everyone's soul advance. That's the goal. And we learn our lessons faster here than we do on the other side. And we learn them faster still within relationship,
Mm.
whatever that relationship is, whether it's a family relationship, whether it's a friend, whether it's an intimate relationship. We're here always learning lessons. There's
Right.
5 lessons that we are here to learn. And this is my book, All's Fair in Love and Karma, which I created the relationship mastery program about 5 years ago. And I geared it towards helping people learn how energy works, how the universe works, how to listen to angels, how to read the signs, and how to balance their energy and magnify anybody they want into their life and anything they want into their life. And I geared it towards people having difficulties with their relationships or marriage, divorce, separation, because I felt that those people were the most motivated to change and willing to invest in themselves and do the work. But as a result of putting hundreds of people through that program, what I realize is that everyone's here for the 5 same lessons. And as much as the universe wants you to think you have choice, the only choice you really have is to delay the learning of those lessons. And you can delay them to the next lifetime if you want to. So, for instance, the universe will offer you door 1, 2, and 3. You take door 1, you go through it, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced, you're in front of door 1, 2, and 3. Most people, creature of the habit, they're going to take door 1 again. They're going to go through it, get married, have a couple more kids, get divorced again. They're going to be in front of door 1, 2, and 3. If you learn the lesson you were supposed to be learning, you're not going to take door 1 anymore.
Mhm.
You're going to take door 2 or door 3. And you may still get married and have more children, but it's not going to end in a divorce the way it did the last 2 times, because you learned whatever the lesson was that you were supposed to learn. And the 5 major lessons that we're supposed to learn, the first one is self-worth. Everything comes from that one. And self-worth is not value. Value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are so important and so special that you are the only one of you in this entire universe. Isn't that amazing? Even if you were a twin, you're different. You have different wants, different
Mm.
needs. And I just found out recently, maybe you can verify this, that they have different fingerprints. Is that true?
I've just learned that myself, actually, to be honest with you. They just discovered that whereas like when I was a cop and through my whole career, it was fingerprints were unique to each of us. And recently, I just learned that the people can have different fingerprints or
Different fingerprints. Yeah, I
have the
just
same
learned that too. I
fingerprints.
thought they were the same.
Yeah.
They're different. So, and it's also the understanding that although society would like you to think, it is not so. It is not narcissistic or selfish to put yourself first.
Mm.
It's where everything else comes from. If you cannot put yourself first and take care of yourself first, you won't be here to take care of anybody else. It's that simple. And no one else
Mm.
has the power to make you do anything. I can't make you angry. I can't make you sad. I can't
Yeah.
make you love me. That's all on you. And no one's going to make you happy either. That's on you. You have to make yourself happy. And then when you raise that vibration, you will attract other people that are on that same frequency of happiness, and it will ping pong back and forth. The next lesson is trust and communication. You have to trust, first of all, that there is a higher power, and there is. Doesn't matter what you want to call it. Allah, Buddha, Krishna, God, source energy. There is only one. That's it. And you also have to trust that you created this plan for yourself here. And if you don't like something that's happening, you get nobody to blame but yourself, because nothing's ever happening to you. It's always happening for you. And if you're too stubborn and can't get out of your own way and you're delaying your plan, then the universe is going to step in and give you a kick in the butt to move you along. It's that simple. And you may not like the kick in the butt, but when you look back, you'll realize why it happened
Yeah.
and you're grateful that it did.
Brilliant.
Then, yeah. And you have to be able to communicate your wants and needs to the people in your life. No one knows by osmosis what it is you want. Everyone's an individual. So you have to be able to trust the person that you're with in a relationship enough as well to communicate that to them. Because sex is nothing more than another form of communication either. And if you can't trust and communicate outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to do it inside the bedroom.
Yeah,
Then
brilliant.
you have unconditional love. And I keep hearing, oh, there's always a condition. Well, then that's your challenge, because it needs to be unconditional. So it's not playing the martyr and saying, I have to stay in this abusive relationship because I'm practicing unconditional love. This is where the lesson of self-worth would kick in, because each lesson keeps reinforcing the other lessons. It's saying, listen, and meaning it. I really love you and care about you, but this is not working. We had a good run, but it's not bringing either of us joy, and it's time to move on. And it's not bad mouthing them as soon as you walk out the door. It's
Yeah.
meaning it, wanting it for both of you. Suppose you had a child that you loved dearly and they did something horrific like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage, and they go to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what your child did, but hopefully you're still going to unconditionally love your child. And then the tough one, suppose it's your child that's taken by someone else, maybe in a drunk driving accident. You know, they wrote that into their plan, whether you want to believe it or not, that's how they were going to go. And that's a lesson clearly for the driver. Are you going to let it destroy your life as well with the hate that's going to eat you up inside? Or are you going to be able to say, listen, my son wouldn't want me to hate you for that. He would have known that this was part of his plan. And I had him for as long as I had him. And you need to love them enough to let it go. So it's a tough lesson. It really is.
Brilliant. All of it's brilliant. I think that, I'm sorry.
No, well, there's two more lessons. You have money and balance, because money is energy. This is why it's called currency. And everything in the universe has to stay in balance. This is why you have good and evil. You have night and day, left and right, up and down. And it's what we use in this 3D world to show whether or not your life is in balance. Everything has to be an even exchange of energy. So you don't walk into a grocery store and you don't plop down $1 million for a gallon of milk. Not yet, anyways.
Close.
It has to be an even exchange. And, you know, when I first started my relationship mastery program, I had given it to a couple of veterans at no charge because they were in financial situations. And, you know, neither one of them did the program. It had no value to them because there was not an even exchange of energy there. It has to have the even exchange of energy. And then suppose you're working 80 hours a week and you're just kind of saving all your money. Well, now the rest of your life is out of balance. You have no time for your family, your friends, your own hobbies. And then if you're just hoarding your money, you don't have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. Money is energy, so you have to learn that what you put out will come back. If you put it out, it comes back. It has to flow like a river. That's how it works. And then you have patience. And patience is very difficult nowadays because we live in this world of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything right now. And it does not come right now. It comes at the perfect time when you're supposed to get it. How stupid would it be if every little 5-year-old girl that wants to get married to Prince Charming and have babies, the stork starts delivering them at 5, right? No.
Yeah.
And if you're 30 and if you're 35 and your biological clock is ticking and you're not married yet and you don't have children, then you have to know that that's how you wrote it into your plan. And it still doesn't mean it won't happen. Maybe when you're 50, you're going to marry a widower and raise his children. You have to trust your plan. Each lesson reinforces the next one, and enjoy the ride. If you knew everything that was going to happen every day, you wouldn't get out of bed, would you? You wouldn't need to. It'd be too boring.
No, I mean, brilliant words of wisdom, brilliant all the way around, all the life lessons that you just talked about. I think that explaining them that way allows us a better perspective into them because we can experience, as a human being, as an individual, as a man or a woman or a child or a teenager, whoever it happens to be, whether you're young or old, or whether you're middle aged, wherever you're at in life, I think that each one of those lessons that you talked about, we all have experienced, are experiencing, or will experience. But I just have a quick question in regard to, you brought it up a couple of different times, but that's what we wrote into our lives. Do we
Mhm.
have the ability, if we feel that we're on a path, do we have the ability to change that? If we go, wait a minute, I think I recognize that maybe I shouldn't be on this path, but maybe I should be on that path.
So it's interesting because I did some deep meditation and some questioning the other day because I know we write the plan and we write who's going to be in our life, and there are no accidents and there's no coincidences, okay? But when you raise your vibration and you're bringing someone else in that's on that higher vibration, I had to ask on the other side, how does this work as far as us having any choice on
Right.
that regard? And they explained it to me wonderfully. So everybody's seen the movie or the play A Christmas Carol, right? With
Yes.
Scrooge. Okay. So that's the play that I used to love to go see at the theater every single Christmas. And it was never the same. The theater company would do it differently every year. Sometimes it was a really dark motif. Sometimes the characters would change out a little bit. But the essence of it and the lesson of it, all of that is still the same. It hasn't changed. So it's just those details that make it either darker or lighter or more challenging. And that's what our life is as far as the choices that we make. You always have the choice to make the decision from the negative side or the positive side. That's what will rule your life. There's a pile of money sitting here. Somebody lost it, okay? Or they just left it there. What do I do? Do I take it? Go spend it? Yay me, right? Do I try to find the owner and give it back to them? Because maybe that's their life savings. And maybe it was meant for something special and they really, really need it. You always have the option of taking the high side or the low side. That's really your choice. And whether or not you take the high side or the low side is going to make the difference on whether or not you're learning the lessons that you're supposed to be learning.
I agree with that. I mean, as a cop, growing, well, yeah, as a parent too, I've always emphasized that you have a choice. You have a choice in life. You can choose this or you can choose that. That nobody can make that decision for you except for you, and that you have to make it yourself. You have to be able to choose. Same thing with me. I had to deal with that with myself when I was looking up at my daughter. Sometimes I tear up when I bring this up. And she said, "I want you to walk me down the aisle." I had to make a choice. Do I do I do this, or do I just feel sorry for myself and pity myself and say, I'm easily 100 pounds and I can't get up and walk out of here, or do I make the choice to come out of this and to walk her down the aisle? It's We all get to a level sometimes where we question whether or not we have a choice, and we get angry and resentful, and we get, you know, and not just
Everything's
angry.
perspective. Everything in life is perspective,
Exactly,
always. And
exactly,
when,
exactly.
when you're learning your lessons, you can really start to look at your life from a higher perspective. And when you do that, you don't get mired down in all the drama that's happening all around because you realize that means nothing. It's drama and it's low
Yeah,
vibrational stuff and it's not what you want to be a part of. And when you rise above that, realistically, you're meant to live an abundant life here. You're
yeah.
meant to have everything you want. This is why, as a child, when you're born, every baby knows their needs are going to be taken care of, aren't they? They're going to be fed, they're going to be changed. They don't question that. And as they get older, we indoctrinate them, okay? When you get older, you forget. The universe wants you to have everything. That higher power that put you here,
Mm.
you're meant to have everything you want in this life. All you have to do is ask. And when you do the work, you get the reward. It's that simple. I'll give you, I mean, I can give you examples every day. So, yesterday, here we are, we're February 5th, right? I live in a duplex, and the other side of my duplex literally pays my mortgage. So my tenant's moving out for the end of February. I'm trying to find a tenant for March 1st. And each of the tenants that keep calling, they're not really, financially able to afford where I live. I
Mhm.
beachside. And I put it out to them yesterday. I said, listen, I said, I really need you to help me find the right person, blah, blah, blah. And I've done my work.
Mhm.
I've done my work for the universe. I've put it out there on all the right sites to get it rented. And sure enough, today I just got the application of applications that just came in. That's like, wow, this is like I hit the lottery.
I think
And
we
this
all
is
have to
what
remind
we do.
ourselves that that can happen this way. Our youngest daughter's trying to move out of California because it's too expensive for her to live, and she wanted or asked her employment, her boss, her supervisor, direct supervisor, to help her to work remotely from Colorado. And she wants to go back to Colorado. We're from Colorado originally, and she just had faith in it. She had faith in it. She said, "I'm just going to believe in this, and it's going to happen," and it worked. And then
Mhm.
getting her trying to get done with the apartment stuff. She's going, I don't know what I'm going to do with all my stuff. I'm going to this and this and this and this. And then she gets an email saying that she put some of her furniture up for sale down. I keep doing the Italian hands again down here. You're not seeing. She puts it up on the board, and she says, I'll have to sell what I can sell. I'll give away what I can give away, and whatever the case may be." And she gets somebody that came up to her and said, I'll buy all of this. And she goes, "Okay, can you help me move it?" And the lady asked Nicole, and Nicole said, "Yeah, I can help you move it, but it depends upon where." She says, "I live right next door."
There you go. When you
It
learn how to
answered.
work with the energy of the universe, it's incredible.
It is amazing.
You know, angels are a separate race. They are not human. Their entire existence is to help us. But their one rule, they can't help you if you don't ask. You have to ask. It's almost
Yes.
a joke when I'm out with friends and I need a parking spot right up front. I need a parking spot. Angels can get me one. They're like, hey, 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 you're not going to get your parking spot. There's nothing there. I'm like, stop 1 second. All of a sudden, the car backs right out. There you go.
There you are. Yeah. See,
It's
my
like
thing is,
story after story.
yeah, I got to a point where I'm going, okay, I'm going to say, and they're going to go, oh, here he comes again. You take him.
But they know. I mean, that gets everybody has to have purpose, right?
Yes.
Everyone has to have purpose. You are not fulfilled if you don't have purpose. And angels are the same way. This gives them purpose,
Gives
and
him
they can
purpose.
move
Yeah.
300 million miles a second, so they can help everybody very, very quickly.
Well,
It's absolutely
it's
beautiful.
fantastic when it works that way. Our oldest is looking for a place to live because they sold the con. They didn't, but the owner of the townhouse that they were living in sold the townhouse. So they said, we're going to give you like 60 days. You got to get out and so forth. So they've been really struggling. California is hard to get another place to live, and it was bam, 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 bam.
Surprise, everybody's leaving.
All of a sudden, one showed up for her when we asked the angels to help. And I'm only validating what you're saying. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, anytime my faith is faltering, it's almost a running joke at this point. It's happened 3 times. Anytime my faith is faltering, I will lose a diamond earring. And I
really,
mean, these diamond earrings are ungodly expensive. My ex-husband bought them. I would never be able to replace them
right,
financially. They're ring quality. They're beautiful. And I never take them out, but I have screwbacks and everything on them, right? And it happened again, a couple of weeks ago when my faith was faltering. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't realize. I know I had just had new backs put on them. I had tightened it up on Friday night. Sunday, I went golfing, gone.
oh
I don't know where
no,
it went. I don't know if I lost it at the gym in the morning, at the beach. I have no idea. All I could do was come back and ask St. Anthony. And it's the same thing. It's like, I know if somebody's supposed to get that, they need it for an engagement ring. I get it. It's not going to
right,
change who I am. It just brings me a lot of joy to wear them. I really like them. So anyway, and, I looked everywhere. I went hands and knees through my whole house. Couldn't find it anywhere, right? Take a shower, go to get dressed, sat on the edge of the bed. The light coming through the window
and
just
there it
hit
was.
it perfectly, sticking up on the rug. I'd already looked there.
Well, that's a hell of a lot better than trying to find it on the golf course.
The second time I thought it was on the golf course for sure enough.
Yeah,
I'd stayed in this little tiny rental apartment, went through the whole thing. I figured it's gone. Ask St. Anthony, same thing. I figured it's long gone, right? My hat had gotten pulled off on the golf course and caught in my earrings. I'm figuring, oh, that had to be where it went, right? Got up the next morning, went to the bathroom, looked down. It was butt up against the bottom of the
and there it
toilet
was.
bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not asked Saint Anthony. I have to put that in
He never
my
he
little
never lets
journal
me
here.
down. He
We
never lets me down.
we're good friends with Shamuel. We keep asking Shamuel to help us find whatever we need to find.
Oh,
Archangel
I
Shamuel.
didn't know that that was his job at all. I know it's St. Anthony's.
Well, we're going to check out with him too. But
Yeah.
hey, it works for all of you out there. These are just some examples, that you just have
Yeah,
to
and I
ask.
mean they talk in binary code and numbers. So if people don't know this, they have no idea. Maybe they're still waking up in the morning and the clock is flashing in 2:22 every morning when they wake up. Every morning I wake up, the phone, it's two. It means something. There's a reason for it. They're trying to
Yeah,
get a message to you. It's incredible.
like
It's
hey,
absolutely. But if you don't know, you don't know.
it's the old tap on the head here. Right? I'm talking. I'm talking here. Got to listen
Yeah,
to me.
exactly. Exactly. They're trying to get a message to you.
Well, the whole, I guess, the whole concept of us having the, I love what you said earlier about abundance and that we're all meant to have an abundant life. I think sometimes we get caught up in the why me. I mean, I'm guilty of it. My family's
Why
been
not
guilty of it.
me?
We're
Why
human.
not me?
Yeah, we're
Why not
human.
me?
So
But
yeah,
it's the people that have the higher calling that have the more challenging life. That's reality.
that's an interesting perspective. We
That's
might have to
reality.
talk about
I've
that.
had a very challenging life. I mean, I've had back surgery. I got to have two more. I have all kinds of medical issues and health problems that I try to, take care of the best that I can
Yeah.
because I know they're all there for a reason. They make you who you are. You
Well,
know.
I'm going to share with you. I go through that on a regular basis. I have come to grips with where I'm at with my disease because I have a disease. I have a disease that continues to deal with me.
Mhm.
We won't say deal with me, continues to affect me that I have to
Right.
manage throughout the thing. I've had 8 operations because of it. I've had
Yeah.
2 knees replaced. I've had 2 hip replaced. My foot surgery. I've had 2 shoulders replaced. And I went through a lot of why me's and why me and why me. I still go through that now. So for those of you that are out there listening and watching, realistically, we're human beings, so we're always going to feel that way. I went, I, I had problems with my eyes. I had problems with my hands. I used my eyes and my hands as a career in law enforcement. I did good things as a cop. I've arrest, I've arrested several thousand individuals over my career that were bad guys. I worked at domestic violence task force. Okay, I put people in jail that need to be put in jail, and I go, why? You ask that question all the time as a human being. You say, why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? But you can also come to realizations, and just to validate what you're saying, because in reality, when I had to redefine my purpose and turn into what we're doing right now and having conversations on this show that is heard in 59 countries, that is heard all over the world, in the conversations that I've had with people all over the world, I never would have had that reach as a law enforcement officer.
And everything they do has meaning. Everything. When they start taking away parts of your body that you're
Yeah.
used to working, they're doing it so that your other abilities start to wake up a little bit more. I have thyroid issues that I have to have biopsies done, 10 needles, like every
Wow.
year. And they don't give you anesthesia or anything for that. I learned to call on Archangel Raphael and Mother Mary because they work together to heal, and I call on them so that I don't feel any pain. And I feel nothing when they do it. Absolutely nothing.
It's
I call
brilliant.
on them when I start having sciatic pain that I can't even get out of bed. I call on them, and it gets better. It really, truly does.
And that
It feels
that
manageable.
I think that's a tool that we all have the ability to reach out to. I think,
It's what you
listen,
focus on. I mean, you and I can both sit here all day and say, "Oh, I'm in so much pain. Oh, I can't move. Oh my God." Oh, we can try to put that in the back of our heads, move on, right,
and move
and
forward.
go for our higher calling.
Yeah, move forward.
That's
Exactly.
everybody's option.
And I think, you've written 3 books,
For
4 books. You've written 4 books. I think I put 3 of them here on the website, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Of the 4 books, did you ever think that you were going to be an author?
So yeah, I started writing my autobiography when I was probably 30. And I remember my father asking me not to publish it until after he dies because He didn't play a good role in this lifetime,
Mm.
and he didn't want to be publicly um, scourged and
Exposed.
maybe exactly, yeah. He was very prominent in the community, and he was not who no one's really ever who you think they are.
Yeah, behind closed door. I learned that as a cop, boy, and well, I've grown up in a dysfunctional family myself.
Yeah,
What's
you don't
on
know
the
what goes
outside
on
of that
behind closed
door
doors. Yeah,
isn't always what's behind that door.
yeah. So I started writing it many times, and at one point, one of my kids got on my computer and found part of it, and I just deleted the whole thing. So I had always known I was going to write my autobiography, but when I was writing it, I just kept hearing, "You got to write the book. You got to write the book." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm writing the book." They're like, "No, no, no, you got to write another book." I'm like, "What other book?" And at the time, I was teaching psychic development and mediumship development. And they're like, "You need to write a book so your students have a handbook to take home as a
Hmm.
guide." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, if you want me to do that, you're going to have to help me." So I literally channeled a guide from the other side to help me write this book. And I wrote it and published it in 6 weeks.
Oh, very
And then
cool.
I went back to my autobiography.
I need to
Yeah.
borrow that guy or that woman, that
All you
that
have to do is
entity.
call on them, and they will always, no matter what it is. If you're trying to cook something, if you're trying to make something, you can call on the highest guide from the other side, and they will intuitively give you help.
What you need. Well, actually, that just happened to me recently, but we can talk about that when we're off air. So it's interesting what you do. You not only have you written books, you do courses and you do the readings. You have a multitude of opportunity for people to reach out to you and to get help from you from a variety of perspectives. Can you help us understand how to get your books and how you can help other people or how we can find you?
Sure. My books are available everywhere, but the fastest and easiest way to get them is just to go to my website, and there's a link to all the books, to each of the books. It's juneedward.com. There's also a journal there, the Destiny Card Journal, that you can get to put your own intentions in. Um, There is a menu of services on there, Akashic record reading, which is your past life. If you're having issues in this life and you want to know why, you can find out why. What did you bring through karmically that you can learn about, change, and get rid of? And once knowledge is power, remember that when you know things, it gets rid of the issues. If there's somebody on the other side you need to talk with, if you just want to know how your business is going to do, how's your life going to turn out? Are you going to move? Are you going to get married? Whatever it is you need to know, as long as it's something that you're supposed to know, I can help you with that. The big joke is, oh, you're a psychic, but you can't win the lottery. What's the lottery number, right? Well, if I'm supposed to win the lottery, I will. If I'm not supposed to, I won't. I can't give someone information they're not supposed to have that would change the path of their life. It's that simple. However, on a side note, I did give somebody the lottery number once. It was pretty funny.
Did they win? Did they win? That
They
was the
did.
question.
Yeah,
They did
absolutely.
win.
They did win. Yeah, they won a couple grand, but it was pretty funny.
Ah, very cool. Well, maybe they needed the money at the time.
They did, and they were supposed to win. I've
Exactly.
been very lucky. I've won plenty.
Well, I do believe that what is meant to be will be, and what we're meant to have we will have. But I also believe in the fact that we have opportunity to create opportunity for ourselves, and that we just need to ask, get the choice. Do you?
You do. And whatever that opportunity is, again, it's something you pre-planned. You can't say, I
Yeah.
want to live in a castle and I want to be able to build it brick at a time, but that was never written in your plan. You
And
know what I'm saying?
sometimes I have to ask myself about why did you put that in the plan? Well,
Yeah, a lot of things. So I used to ask myself that a lot. I had such a challenging life, and now I don't ask anymore because now I know I had to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that even when I look back on the dysfunction of my own family and everything that took place, and then why I became a cop and the stuff that happened to me as a cop, and afterwards, it's one of those things where it brought me to where I am today, and I'm
It
a
made
better
you who
person
you
for it
are.
all the way around, and it allows me to have more empathy and compassion and understanding, and having
And you take
conversations.
that with you when you go, because when you go to the other side, you don't become somebody new or somebody different. You're the same person. You just
But
don't
will
have a
I
body.
still be this good looking though? See, that's
You'll be better looking. You can look like anything you want. You can come through as hair. So it's funny. I have a woman that comes through as a blonde all the time to her family. She was a blonde for about a month. Her family hated it. She loved it. She comes through as a blonde all the time.
Oh, that's funny. She goes, "Hey, take that. Look at me now."
Yeah.
Well, I'll make sure that I've got links to your website in the show notes. Everybody has an easy way to access it. And hopefully that will help people reach out to you when they need to reach out to you and get some answers and so forth. This is one more thing before you go. So before we go, do you have any words of wisdom you can share?
So there is a free webinar they can sign up for on my website as well to learn a little bit more about how energy works.
Okay.
And the one thing that I do want to say to everybody is it doesn't cost anything for you to be kind. It doesn't cost you anything. Be kind. Be kind to one another. In a world that's so angry and so evil, be kind. Watch how that multiplies for you.
Those are brilliant words of wisdom. Absolutely be kind, 100%. Big smile, because yeah, that's a feel
Yeah,
good. That's a feel good words of wisdom. June,
exactly.
thank you very much for spending your time with me today. I
Yeah,
really
my
appreciate it.
pleasure. My
Um,
pleasure.
Again, thank you for sharing your journey with us as well, because I think and your words of wisdom throughout this whole episode. I do have one question, real quick though. Does
Mhm.
karma follow us, good and bad?
There's no such thing as bad karma.
No such
Karma
thing as
is
bad
only
karma.
there to help teach you your lessons. So in a past life, if you stole money from someone, they're not going to come through and steal money from you in this lifetime. They may come back and be your boss and teach you how money works and how hard you've got to work to get it,
Mm,
and that there has to be an even exchange.
that works. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. On that note, again, thank you very much for being on the show. I would love to have another conversation with you down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very cool. For everyone else out there, one more thing before you all go. Have a great day. Have a great week, and thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go. Check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.